Hi, and welcome to the Courage Made Simple podcast. I'm Margareta Kull, a mother of 3 courageous young women and a courageous leader trainer. For the past 20 years, I've helped hundreds of leaders from over 50 countries, from senior executives to aspiring change makers, find the courage to face challenges at work and at home. I know firsthand that leading isn't just about work. Whether it's guiding a team at work, setting boundaries at home, showing up for the people who matter most, or navigating other tough decisions, courage is essential in every part of life. It's how we become the people we want to be. This podcast is a space to explore the messy questions of being a leader at work and at home. Through insights, tools, and personal stories, we'll help you find your courage. If you're ready to move from feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated to becoming a more confident, capable, and courageous leader, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. What's a challenge or question you'd like me to explore in this podcast? Send me a DM on LinkedIn or Instagram at Margareta Kull. I'd love to hear your thoughts and answer your questions in future episodes. In today's episode, we'll take a closer look at the 4-step courageous leader process, consisting of stop, reflect, choose, and act. This framework is designed to help you approach challenges with clarity, confidence, and courage, whether at work, at home, or while trying to balance the two. I also want to let you know about something that can help you as we explore today's episode. I've created a free, simple guide that gives you an overview of the courageous leader process and its 4 steps that we start to explore today. The guide is a great way to see the big picture and understand how different tools fit into the framework. You can download it for free at couragemadesimple.com/free guide. When you think about courage, what comes to mind? Big, bold decisions? Taking major risks? Or is it something much smaller? Something that happens in the everyday choices you make at work and at home? I'm sure you've had moments where you knew you needed to act. The question was just how. Maybe it was making a tough decision, setting a boundary, or having an honest conversation you've been avoiding. We all have those moments. The question is, how do we move through them with courage? Years ago, I realized something. The leaders I trusted and respected the most, the ones I followed without fear, weren't necessarily the smartest or the most experienced ones. No. They were the ones who had the courage to face their fears and do what was right anyway. But I also saw something else. Courage isn't something that happens by chance. It's a process. That's why I created the Courageous Leader process, a framework designed to help you step into the leader you truly want to be, a leader that's trusted and respected, not by following a rigid set of rules, but by learning how to navigate your own challenges with clarity and confidence, at work and at home. I wish I could give you a simple formula for courage, a step-by-step manual. That would be great, wouldn't it? But life doesn't work that way. We're all shaped by different experiences, challenges, and emotions. And that means we each need different kinds of support. We're not all the same, are we? But one thing we all have in common, we face challenges and we have endless possibilities. Sometimes we forget that, if we're willing to choose courage. The Courageous Leader process won't tell you what's right or wrong. It won't teach you how to create a business strategy or a SWOT analysis at work. It won't tell you how to raise your children or be with your friends. So what does it do? Well, what it will do is help you actually see what you really believe is best in the situation you're in and then follow through. even when it's hard. Whether that's executing a bold strategy at work or making a tough personal decision. Pretty powerful, don't you think? That's exactly what I explore in my book, Courageous Leader, Increase Your Impact by Facing Your Fears. And it's what we'll explore here together on this podcast. Not just theory, but real practical ways to grow into the courageous leader you want to be. At the core of this process are 4 powerful steps: stop, reflect, choose, and act. Each one builds on the next, guiding you when fear tries to take over, helping you respond with courage instead of reacting from fear. So what does that actually look like in practice? It starts with something simple, but not always easy. Instead of reacting on autopilot, you stop. You pause, even if just for a moment, before the email reply, before the decision, before the words leave your mouth. You create space between the trigger and your response. From that space, you reflect. What's really going on here? What am I feeling? What are my assumptions? What's influencing me in this very moment? What's at stake for me and for the people around me? And of course, much more. And then you choose. Not based on fear, not based on habit, but based on what you truly believe is right. And you act. Also when it's hard. Also when your instincts are pushing you toward comfort, avoidance, or control. You follow through, because that's how you grow into a trusted and respected leader. Pretty straightforward, right? Not always. But if it were that simple, the world wouldn't be facing the challenges it is today. And maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast right now. The Courageous Leader process is so much more than just these 4 steps. It's not just a framework. It's a way of leading, a way of living. And within it, there are tools, perspective, and exercises to help you navigate your own journey. Because courage isn't one size fits all. We each bring different experiences, fears, and strengths to the table. That's why this process isn't about following a formula. It's about equipping yourself with what you need when you need it. Some tools will definitely feel more useful to you than others. Some will be exactly what you need right now, and others will be there waiting for you when the time is right. You use them when and where you need them within the framework of stop, reflect, choose, and act. Throughout this podcast, we'll be exploring many of these tools together, sharing insights, approaches, and strategies that you can apply in real situations. And as you go along, you'll also discover tools of your own, ones that fit you, your experiences, and your challenges. I like to think of this process as a box. Maybe for you, it's a beautifully wrapped gift box, filled with insights, breakthroughs, and moments of transformation. Or maybe it's a sturdy, well-used toolbox, practical, reliable, something you reach for when you need it most. Either way, it's yours. And just like any good toolbox, or gift box for that matter, the more familiar you are with what's inside, the more useful it becomes. So stay curious, stay engaged. Pay attention to the tools that work for you, and don't be afraid to explore new ones, because the situations that challenge you, at work, at home, in the moments that matter, will keep showing up. The question is, will you be ready? I remember a participant in one of our Courageous Leader programs, a British manager who, after a couple of days of working through the process, turned to me and asked, completely baffled, "But when does the process end?" After the laughter in the room settled, he thought about it and added with a slightly frustrated smile, "Never?" That's right, it never ends. Because growing into a courageous leader isn't a task you complete. It's a way of showing up in life, again and again. It's a mindset, a practice, a commitment to choosing courage in moments big and small. And that's what makes it so powerful. Courageous leaders don't just accept this, they embrace it. Because every challenge, every decision, every moment is an opportunity to grow into the leader you truly want to be. A leader others trust, a leader others respect, at work and at home. And the Courageous Leader process is here to guide you, like a handrail to hold on to, as you navigate the uncertainty, step by step. Now that we've looked at the bigger picture, let's talk about the 4 steps of the Courageous Leader process. Stop, reflect, choose, and act. And it all starts with stop. Stopping sounds simple, doesn't it? But let's be honest, most of us don't do it. We rush from one thing to the next, one meeting to another, one thought to the next, without ever creating space to notice what's happening inside us. We react automatically. We operate on autopilot, and before we even realize it, we've sent the email, said the words, made the decision. That's why stop is the first step. It's about pausing. Instead of focusing on what's happening around you, you take a second to move your attention to yourself. Let's say you open an email that instantly triggers you. We've all been there, haven't we? Maybe it feels unfair or demanding. Your first instinct? Fire off a response. Defend yourself. Push back. But instead, you stop. You take your hands off the keyboard. You close your mouth. You sit still for just a moment. And in that pause, something shifts. You give yourself space before you react. Stopping is key. Without it, you risk reacting in a way that doesn't serve the situation. You might escalate conflict, shut down, or make a choice you later regret. But when you stop, even for a second, you create space to respond with good judgment instead of impulse. You shift from autopilot to awareness. Here is something for you to try. Throughout your day, see if you can catch yourself when you're caught up in something, when you're just reacting, and just stop, even just for a moment. See if you can stop. That's it. Because once you stop, you open the door to the next step. Reflect. Once you've stopped, you've created space. And what you do with that space matters. That's where the next step comes in when it comes to acting courageously. Reflect. Reflect is about giving yourself a moment to sit with your thoughts instead of reacting, a moment to let new thoughts come in. It's not about overthinking, it's about making space for clarity. Let's go back to that email that triggered you. You managed to stop, which we all know can be quite an achievement in the moment. You didn't react. Now what? You ask yourself questions like, why did this email trigger me? What am I afraid might happen? What assumptions am I making? Or maybe it's a conversation at work or at home. Someone said something and you felt that instant reaction. Or it's an important decision that needs to be made. Reflect helps you ask yourself, what's really going on here? What do they need? And what do I need right now? Reflection helps you see reality as it is, not just how it feels in the moment. It helps you step outside of your emotions, notice what's actually happening, and consider different perspectives. Pretty important, don't you think? And ultimately, it leads to better decisions. Not reactive ones, but ones that move things forward in a positive way. So here's something to try. The next time you stop, take just one extra moment to notice what's going on inside you, What are you assuming? And what might the other person be needing? Because when you make space to reflect, you set yourself up for the next step when it comes to acting courageously. To choose. You've stopped, you've reflected. Now comes another moment that truly shapes what happens next. The moment you choose. Choosing means making a decision. Deciding how to respond, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when every part of you wants to fall back into old habits. And here's the thing. Every moment you have choices. More than you might think. You can choose to listen to someone who's telling you something you don't want to hear. You can choose to speak up, even if you're afraid of being challenged. Or choose to stay quiet instead of reacting defensively. You can choose to be curious, ask a question instead of making an assumption. Or to see the situation from the other person's perspective. You can choose to set a boundary, to say no when something doesn't align with you. And my guess? If you hadn't stopped and reflected, you might have made a very different choice. Maybe a knee-jerk reaction that didn't really serve you. This is the moment where you determine how you move forward. Not just what's easiest, but what's right for the situation. Because courage isn't just about big, bold moves. It's about the everyday choices that shape who we are, at work and at home. You've stopped, you've reflected, you've chosen. Now comes the step that actually makes a difference. Act. Acting means taking a step, big or small, in line with what you've already worked through. It's the moment where you follow through on the choice you made. Because without action, nothing changes. Without action, the first 3 steps, stop, reflect, choose, don't really matter. Let's say you've reflected on a situation. Maybe it's work, maybe it's personal. You've decided to have a conversation with someone. Acting means scheduling the meeting or simply starting it. Or maybe it's at home. You've realized you want to be more present. Acting might mean putting your phone away, actually listening, instead of just saying, busy day, and moving on. Sometimes the whole process happens in seconds. You pause, you reflect, and you choose to speak up. Or stay quiet. That's action too. Other times it takes longer. A tough decision at work, a major life choice. In those cases, act isn't one big moment. It's a series of small steps. A conversation, a decision, a commitment. Action creates momentum. Action creates change. Without it, you stay stuck. And the best part? Action builds courage. Every time you follow through, even in small ways, you strengthen your ability to do it again next time. Because courage isn't just about thinking differently. It's about doing differently. So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, let me tell you about Jason. Because I remember Jason telling me this story in one of our coaching sessions. He was excited. For the first time in a long time, things were changing. He was a manager in a high-pressure company, and when he got feedback that he was too controlling, his first instinct was to defend himself, find out who said it, and prove them wrong. Typical controlling behavior. But this time, something made him stop. In the past, he would have reacted immediately, but this time he remembered something from our coaching sessions because he'd been practicing stop, reflect, choose, and act. So he managed to stop. Well done, Jason. He noticed his frustration, and instead of reacting, he paused. And then he started to ask himself questions. So he realized his controlling behavior wasn't really about his team. It was about him and his own fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of failure, and fear of being judged. And that fear was making him micromanage. So he had stopped and he had reflected. This took some time for him. Then came the hard part, choosing. He decided to trust his team, even though it felt uncomfortable, even though it meant letting go of control. And finally, he actually acted. He didn't just think about it, he did it. He handed over a special project, but not blindly. He worked with his team to create a follow-up plan so they stayed aligned and also supported. And do you know what happened? He built trust. His team took more ownership. He keeps talking about accountability. And Jason? He felt relief. He hadn't realized how exhausting it had been to hold on so tightly. Actually, telling me this, he was quite emotional. Let me share another story, one that might hit closer to home. Picture this. You're rushing home after a stressful day. You're exhausted, you're frustrated, and deep down you know you're about to snap at whoever is at home. But this time, you manage to stop. Before you walk through the door, you pause, you take a breath. And then you give yourself only a couple of seconds to reflect. You realize then, of course, that your frustration isn't about the family. It's about a tough day at work. It's about certain people that got under your skin. It's about your stress. So now you have a choice. You could walk in and keep being in your own head and maybe retreat to your phone. Or you could choose to show up differently, to be present, to connect. So you decide to try something that feels slightly uncomfortable in the moment. You put your phone away in another room. You greet the family warmly. You sit down, look them in the eye, and really ask about their day. My experience, and probably yours as well, is telling me that in that moment, everything shifts. The energy changes because you made a choice and acted on it. Big or small, our actions shape our relationships at work and at home. This is what the Courageous Leader process is all about. It's not about having all the answers. It's about making wise decisions, also long term, and paying attention to how you show up, choosing how you respond, and having the courage to follow through, because it can be really uncomfortable sometimes. Because every moment, at work and at home, you take action. The question is, what action will you take? If there's one thing I hope you walk away with today, it's this. Actually, let's make it 3. 1. Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about making conscious choices. 2. Small actions, such as catching yourself in the moment, matter. And 3, you don't have to have all the answers. Just take the next step. Before we wrap up, think about this. What's one small courageous action you can take today? And then, remember to grab your free guide to the Courageous Leader process. It's a simple way to see how the 4 steps fit together and start applying them today. You can download it at couragemadesimple.com/free guide. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might find it valuable. You can DM me on LinkedIn and Instagram at Margareta Kull, or visit our website at courageous-leader.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts and answer your questions in future episodes. That's it. Thank you for listening. Dare to make a difference. Before we wrap up, here is the legal bit. You know the fine print I need to mention. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I'm just your companion on this journey. I'm not a licensed therapist, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals.